today's upload is on forward planning and anticipation. This is quite a far-reaching topic. Forward planning and anticipation comes into everything that we do whilst we're riding. One of the phrases I use with my students is forward planning is also backwards planning, which means your mirror checks need to be good and regular. Quite often students will check their mirrors very infrequently, and I don't see how you can be planning for what's going on in front of you if you don't know what's going on behind you. So keep your mirrors nice and regular, and then you already know what's coming up behind you and how fast, so that when you see a hazard in front of you, you should be able to deal with it in a very sensible way because you already know what to do. Roundabout planning. Lots of people stop unnecessarily, lots of people approach roundabouts too fast. On this occasion there's absolutely nothing coming, so I'm good to go. Two problems with roundabouts are late planning, so people leave it very late to make a decision and end up stopping where they could have gone. So they've lost the opportunity, or they just didn't see the opportunity. And the second problem is they approach so fast that they don't allow themselves the time to plan. So if you can bring your speed down on the approach, you're actually less likely to need to stop because you've got more time to plan. If you approach too fast and then there is a problem, you're also more likely to hammer your brakes on at the last minute and do an uncontrolled stop, or potentially overbalance the bike and lose control entirely. A little bit bright out this morning, bright and chilly, so I'm just going to turn these grips on. Forward planning and anticipation is about dealing with things before it happens. We use the phrase pre-act, don't react. So see it happening before it happens and already have your plan in place. Plan for your roundabout. So mirrors on the approach, bring the speed down, we're going straight ahead. I'm not going to go hurtling onto the roundabout, I'm going to keep it at a sensible speed. I've made my decision, off we go, indicator, lifesaver to the big gap, and then using the power to get away. Now this morning it's relatively quiet at the moment, because it's quite early still. I will try to get myself to some busier areas. Once again, bringing the speed down, I can see it's clear to go. We're good. I'm going to keep it tight. Indicator, lifesaver, and off we go. You can't forward plan if you get too close to the back of large vehicles like vans or lorries, so stay back so you can see around them. Mirrors on the approach, restricted view, so bring your speed down. I can now see we're good to go. Indicator, lifesaver, then lift my eyes up and look ahead. So you're planning again further up the road. Lots of people get caught out through not looking far enough up the road after a junction. They're still thinking about the junction, finishing it off with mirrors, cancelling the indicator, etc. Don't lift their eyes up and look up the road, and then they get caught out with something happening in front of them. So one of our favourite phrases we use is pre-act, don't react. Look ahead, look early. Spot the potential hazard and deal with it in your head before it actually becomes a hazard. That way nothing should really come as a surprise to you. So here, for example, I'm looking up the left-hand side of the Range Rover towards the side road, looking for anybody approaching that side road. If you've already considered the fact that somebody might approach the side road, then you've already begun to deal with the issue before it becomes an issue. And it's really important when you do have those restricted views. So parked cars down the sides of the road, they're restricting the view. You need to expect things to come out from between the parked cars. Lift your eyes up, look all the way up the road. Even though you're focusing on the bend, you should still be lifting your eyes up on the exit of the bend. Reading the road signs, reading the road markings, all of this comes into forward planning and anticipation. And on this road, there are lots and lots of parked cars. So look for the gaps in the buildings where there's likely to be side roads. Don't go too fast for the gap that's available to you. You should be searching with your eyes whilst also doing regular mirrors for cars emerging from side roads or from the gaps between the parked vehicles. We're in the school zone now. It's an advisory 20, a few school children around, so we're not going to pick a speed up too much. We're going to anticipate children coming out from between the cars. Anticipate the road being more busy the closer we get to the school. Also anticipate people doing sudden changes of direction or sudden U-turns. Parents are in a hurry once they've dropped their children off to school to get themselves off to work. And sometimes they won't do the necessary safety checks to move off or to turn the car around because they're in a hurry. So expect people to do unexpected things when you know they're likely to be rushing. Here we're going to expect people to move away from these vehicles because there's lots of pedestrians around, so give them a wide berth and keep our speed down. No hazards on the right, so I'm well over towards the curb. Moving away from the allotment entrance there, just in case there was anybody there. Again, expect there to be something coming through the tunnel. There isn't, great, brilliant, but at least we've expected it. One of my other favourite phrases is expect the worst and be happy when it doesn't happen. But also be happy when it does happen, because you've already expected it to happen, therefore you've dealt with it. So it's not actually a problem. So expect the worst, and you should be able to deal with anything. Expecting cars to come out past the parked vehicles on their side of the road. So let's see what Mr. Audi does. Stay out of his way, give him the space, and I'm going to get my lifesaver done and move out. Now somebody else would have said dominate your position, stay in position 2, which would have blocked the Audi from coming out, and then he couldn't get on with his journey. There was no harm there with moving into position 1 to get out of the way to allow the Audi to come through, and then to do my own safety checks to come out past the van. And then the Audi driver's managed to get on with his day, and I'm getting on with mine. When we're talking about anticipation, we're talking about anticipating hazards. Also anticipating what other road users might be about to do, even if they're telling you they're about to do something. Expect them to do something else. Don't assume that what they're telling you they're going to do is actually what they're going to be doing. So forward planning and anticipation, we're looking at the sides of the road to see if there's any pedestrians approaching the crossings. Once again, anticipate the lights may not stay green. Have your plan of action in place in your head as to what you're going to do if the lights don't stay green. In order to be able to forward plan, try not to be too close to the vehicle in front of you, and whenever you're passing a queue of traffic like this, look for gaps in the queue where there might be hidden junctions or vehicles coming through from side entrances or driveways. If you cannot see around the vehicle that's in front of you, you can't see past them because you're too close to them, your ability to forward plan is seriously diminished. Expecting cars to be coming past the bin lorry, and it's not a problem that they are because there's loads of room on this road. Anticipation was seeing the car at the side road, expecting them to move out because they can't see us. And again, expect this car to come wide past the speed humps for the parked car that's opposite, which is very much sticking out into the road. Once again, here they come, so let's go to the left of the hump, not a problem for us. I'd originally decided back there to go to the right of the hump because of the car at the junction, but the minute that they decided to pull out of the junction was the minute that I decided I'd need to go the other side. So once you've made a plan, be flexible. Be prepared to change your plan to whatever is safest. It's quite busy down here, so we'll just keep the speed down with all the school kiddies around. Forward planning also includes looking at your road surface. I'm turning left here. There's a couple of drain covers right on the turn, which I don't really want to go over today because it's wet. So I'm planning my line to go through the middle of the drain covers. Remember, if you don't want to go over something, don't look at it. Look at the bit of the road you do want to use instead. Planning ahead. There's dogs on leads on the left. Parked vehicles on both sides of the road. So my position for the dogs was out wide. Now I'm coming back in again. Anticipate the red car's going to come out past the parked vehicles. And think about my speed and position. So I'm going to tuck into this car a little bit and bring my speed down. And again, bring my speed down. The smaller the gap, the less speed we're going to be using because of the car waiting at the junction and the cars that were parked opposite the junction, forcing the oncoming traffic out wide. So make sure you look at your hazards on both sides of the road and you anticipate the fact that the passing traffic or the oncoming traffic is going to be coming out wide. And either reduce your speed or adjust your position to a safer position, or do both if the gap becomes small. Forward planning and anticipation, we have to stop. It's a stop line. Not a very good view as you come through here. Check left, check right again, nice and steady. Once again, park cars on both sides of the road, so plan your position and plan your speed. Move out of the way so this car can now come out without holding them back on their journey. So with parked cars on the other side of the road, we're expecting vehicles to reverse out of side entrances, or we're expecting oncoming traffic to come around past the parked vehicles. So once again, let's move out of the way so the van can get on with it. He's flashed me, so we'll get on with it instead. Great, nice one. Thank you, Mr. Van. Even things like people with dogs. Okay, dogs can be startled by noisy motorbikes. So one, we don't want to frighten the dog. And two, if you do frighten the dog and the owner hasn't got a firm grip on its lead, sometimes they lurch towards the noisy motorbike. So think about giving dogs a wider berth. Think about potentially bringing your speed down. Just anticipate what may happen. It may not happen, but it also may happen. And be kind to animals. There's no need to go unnecessarily close to them, especially if you've got a loud motorbike. Just be considerate. Same with small children. Okay, anticipation, expect him to come out. The other great thing about anticipation is if you've already expected it to happen and it does happen, there's no need to get angry about it. Because you've already dealt with it in your head, you've dealt with it and kept yourself safe. So any anger just isn't necessary. Again, forward planning. Leave junctions clear if there's a queue in front of you. And lots of students will think about it too late and then realise that they've blocked the junction. Plan on the approach. Think about things before they happen. Lift your head up, keep your eyes up, and look up the road with regular mirrors to also check behind. Anticipate the lights may change. If they're going to change, what will I do? Plan. Shoulder check. And off we go. Plan on the approach to your mini roundabout. We're not just going to habitually stop. We're going to look to the right. Any joining traffic? No, we're good to go. Nobody zooming out from the left. We're okay. As we approach junctions, try to bring your speed down and see if you can get the view. So approach nice and slowly. I'm good to the right. I'm good to the left. Another check. And we're good to go. So we don't always have to stop at giveways. Quite often people will habitually stop at giveaway markings as if they are stop lines. And when asked why, they say, because I think it's safer to do so. It's not necessarily safer to do so, because if the car behind you has already assessed that it's good for you to go, they're more likely to go up your backside. Okay, car doors shutting, so expect her to start the car up and potentially move off. And again, plan for your giveaway. So we're going to be turning right, bring the speed down. Pedestrians have the priority. Approach nice and slowly so you can get a view. If you can't get the view, then stop to look. Good to go. Back on the power without needing to stop. And that involves a little bit of practice, because your balance at slow speeds whilst you're looking can be a little bit tricky sometimes, especially if you're tense. So if you are approaching a junction nice and slowly to get the view, relax your elbows down, drop them in, okay, so that your head moves by itself without you moving your whole upper body, because if you're tense, you'll move the whole of your upper body, and then the bike will weave, and then you'll start to lose your balance because you're going slowly. So plan ahead, nothing coming, car coming now, he's coming quite quick, so I'm going to slow down. Still don't need to stop. I'm good to go. And a lot of people would have hammered the brakes on and lurched to a stop. If you've approached nice and slowly, you don't have to stop. Well, that's not to say that you should be creeping onto the roundabout, however, if there's a vehicle on it already. So make sure your slow approach still has you behind the giveaway markings before you actually come onto the roundabout when it's safe to do so. You shouldn't be entering the roundabout if there's a vehicle on it just in front of you, in case they don't do what you expect them to do. So don't cross the giveaway marker until it's actually safe to get onto that roundabout. Really bright sunshine ahead, which is making it a little bit tricky to see, so bear in mind the vehicles behind you may not be able to see your brake lights so easily. So make sure that you give them some really good mirror checks, and maybe flash your brake lights to slow down before you do a solid brake light. Just think about these sorts of things. You see a cyclist on the other side of the road, expect the car to move out past the cyclist, because you're only small and they will see you and want to use the space around you. So expect them to do it. If you expect them to do it, when they do it, it is not a surprise. You've already dealt with it and you can keep yourself safer. When you're following cues of traffic, try to look all the way up the road. Don't just look at the vehicle in front of you. So I'm watching the van turning left ahead at the moment. That's the furthest part that I can see. Being very careful with yellow box junctions and not to enter it until the exit is clear. So I'm going to hang back a little bit, let the distance increase between me and the white car, so I can watch him come off the yellow box before I then go onto it. Don't be afraid to hold back where there's a yellow box. You're not holding the traffic back, you're simply obeying the highway code, which is don't enter until your exit is clear. If you find it difficult to forward plan beyond the junction that you're doing, ask yourself what's next. So whilst you're coming around this bend, lift your eyes up, look up to the top of the hill, and look around the next bend. Ask yourself what's next, what's coming next. Try to remember to look where you want to go next, not where you are going. There's quite a distinct difference, and that will help you to plan ahead more. Difficult to see up the left hand side of the lorry here, so I'm going to proceed with caution, making sure that it's actually safe. Don't put yourself in the position where if there was something coming past and at speed, that you'd be clipped by it. So ahead I can see slow moving traffic, and it's 2 lanes, so let's use lane 2, making some progress. I'm not speeding, I'm just getting myself up to the speed limit, and I'm going to start planning where I want to merge. These vehicles are relatively close together, so I'm going to choose my gap, get my lifesaver in, merging in relatively close. Now I'm going to need to use my mirrors and drop back to a sensible distance without annoying the van behind. Always remember that once you have merged in, you then need to re-establish your stopping distance, especially with something like a van in front of you, because once again you want to be able to see around the van to forward plan. If you can see around the van, you can even see the road surface in front of you to avoid any hazards that are in the middle of the lane, which you won't see the van tyres go over. So any debris or bad surface. If you're too close to a van, you can't see anything. Pedestrian crossing lights ahead, so I'm scanning the sides of the road to see if there's anybody approaching the crossing, and then there's a roundabout. So early mirrors, early plan. moving in early, not leaving it late. On the approach, I'm assessing the vehicles. They all look like they're going straight ahead. The attitude of the cars tells me they are, and the speed of the vehicles tells me they are. A good rule of thumb with roundabouts is looking at it like a clock. If the vehicles coming around are prior to the 3 o'clock position that are already on the roundabout, then you should be good to get onto the roundabout, unless there's any joining traffic directly from the right. If the vehicles that are coming around like this van is now beyond the 3 o'clock position, so we're going to have to deal with him coming around the roundabout and give way. And it's a really good rule of thumb, that one. It's a very helpful rule. Obviously depends a little bit on the speed of the vehicle. If it looks like they're being a little bit speedy, then perhaps you'll hold back. It's very common for students to stop to look at a roundabout, looking at the traffic that's joining directly from the right, and they stop to look and they're watching this traffic come up to the roundabout and then slow down and stop to give way themselves. A lot of opportunities can be missed through not planning ahead and giving way to vehicles that aren't even on the roundabout yet. We should be giving way to vehicles that are on the roundabout, or vehicles that are approaching at higher speeds. So you expect they're not going to stop because they've got a clear view that they're going to be coming onto the roundabout themselves. And that's fine. In which case you stop and give way because it's the safest thing to do. But try not to stop to look at a roundabout at traffic that isn't even onto the roundabout yet. Judge their speed and judge whether you can get onto the roundabout before they even enter it. And that's all about bringing your own speed down on the approach so that you can make an early plan. Once again, roundabout, mirrors on the approach. Bringing the speed down with throttle first, then brakes. Can see the BMW's coming round. The van's not got his indicator on. Nobody from the right. That van's attitude says he's going straight ahead, so we're good to go. Anticipate these drivers coming out on us. He's good, he is slowing down, but don't assume they're going to. Never assume somebody's going to be stopping for you. That doesn't mean you should be going ridiculously slowly all of a sudden, because the car behind you will probably go up your backside. You just need to be aware of it and be prepared for the potential that they may not stop and that it might not be safe.